You've reached the Union and Metro Street podcast, where we discuss the San Diego music scene of the late 80s and all of the 90s, from the shows we worked to the shows we played. Here we go.
So that was a track from Buck 09, and we got Andy here. So what's up, brother?
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. How about you? So what track is that?
That is Less Than Comfortable. I wanted to open with that one because I wrote the music for that one.
Oh, really?
And then it barely didn't make it on the album.
Oh, really?
So
Those bastards.
the guys were we were all going like, we just needed like 1 or 2 more tracks, and I'm like, I showed them the track a while back, and they really liked it, and I was like, what about this track? And
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, let's do that track. So immediately we just wrote it in like 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, once Pebsworth put the lyrics in and everything else, the formula was already there, so we just went and slapped it on the record.
It seems like it's more like you would have taken more time to layer it up and everything. I mean, that's
Yeah, it was a really fun song. It's one of my
so
favorites.
it just came easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, so the people know you're on bass on it.
Yes.
That's really cool. So is this for the new album that you guys are recording right now, or
No, that was 2008
Oh, okay.
for that one. But we are finishing our new record right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going through the final post-production stages.
Okay.
So,
And how's that going?
pretty good. We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
It's only been in the making for 3 years, but hey,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes it takes some time because everyone's out of town,
Mm-hmm.
and you just came in. Where again are you from?
I live in the Sierra foothills
Okay.
near Yosemite.
Yeah.
So
And you just came down specifically for this and a couple other things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're extremely grateful for that.
it's the first
To
time
begin with.
I've been able to travel down here without having a show and somewhere to be.
Right.
all the time. So,
Right.
less stress
Mm-hmm.
other than the drive.
Yeah, I don't mind the drive, but when you have to be somewhere and load in and do all that, it doesn't leave a lot of time.
Right.
So
Yeah, because the last time was the Rolando Street Fair.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we had to just get in there, checked in, load in, and then we had to wait on that rain situation for a while.
Yeah, and it was like everything was kind of like last minute in a sense. It was like hurry up and wait, and then
Yeah.
all right, get your stuff out, and it was crazy.
Yeah, and get it covered from the rain. That was,
Yeah, and we weren't sure if you guys were going to play at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was that nice respite where there wasn't really. I mean, it kind of sprinkled a little bit, but I was amazed that it happened at all. I mean, especially for here with all this rain. I mean, we had rain yesterday. I went from La Jolla to PB to get a truckload of it's this mulch, and I got rained on like heavy rain, which we're not used to down here at all. And then I got loaded up and it was just sprinkling, and then going back to La Jolla and the sun came out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking about microclimates, it was absolutely insane.
Right.
But that the Rolando Fair show was really fun too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they almost were going to scratch it because it looked like it was going to rain, and they're all looking on their smartphones, radar, and everything.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was doing.
They're like, I don't know. The cell looks like it's coming in, and we'd wait 10 minutes, and then nothing happened. And finally, they were just like, all right, go get up there, play your songs. But if it starts to rain, we got to shut it down.
Right. Right.
So we just got up there, and luckily we got away with an hour.
And then also,
And there was a good turnout for it. too.
Oh, yeah,
There was a
no,
lot of
it
heads
was-
there.
God, the heads that was there, it was really amazing. And I mean, everything about it felt, to me personally, I was inspired. It reminded me of like a adult backyard party from the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
It had the beer garden. Everyone was mellow, just having a good time. And even though it was raining, everyone was like, yeah.
And the highlight was Scott getting up on stage and doing
Yeah.
the Irish drinking song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That was a real treat.
that's something that hadn't happened in a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't come up on stage with us for, forever. So 20 years at least.
So he's never been on stage with you guys
Right.
since you've been in the band.
Yeah, I can tell. It was just really cool for John to invite him up and sing the lyrics. I could tell he was really stoked about that too.
And his kids were there and
Mhm.
got to see him perform. And
Yeah.
Got to prove that he was actually in the band and he knows how to play.
Well, Jonas actually comes up to the mic and he says, introducing the writer of the Irish drinking song. And so that's when I think Scott got all like super pumped.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you could see just because, we were back there with him and we were talking for a while and just everything about it, he was just nothing but smiles. And, that's the difference when you're at a show and everyone's just smiling and having a good time, the energy just kind of carries. And then even though, San Diego is supposed to be sunny, and also wasn't this because of COVID, weren't you guys supposed to play last year or the year before? So this was kind of like, we're actually making this happen. So the expectations of doing it, Scott's there, everyone smiles. I mean,
Actually, it wasn't because of COVID. It was because of John's heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the first original reason in 2020 was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to play it like within 2 or 3 weeks, and then they said they canceled everything.
Okay.
And then the following year we were supposed to play it again. John had his heart attack, so then we had to push it back.
Because we actually had a tour lined up
Mm-hmm.
in 2020 it was like 4 shows, I think.
Yes, I think it was in March. The ones we had to cancel. We had to cancel those
Yeah.
as well.
It was just the Arizona, Vegas, San Diego, LA run.
Right. And then we pushed the 2 week the tour with Mustard Plug back.
Yep. And that was because of John.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all this while trying to squeeze in recording time
Right.
when everyone's in town.
Together.
Well, we kind of do like an impromptu rehearsal.
Mhm.
We'll do some stuff there, but most of the time, all the writing and recording is done remotely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in our separate homes.
Okay. Because of the fact that I've got all these projects going, I'm trying to juggle all that. In the room. I mean, I can sit on, we do this. We'll sit on the couch and we'll just kind of lightly play with my little practice amp. But for me, I have to be plugged in. It has to be loud to the point of where I should probably wear earplugs. And I get that energy. So how is it recording remotely? Because to me, it just blows my mind, especially with how many people are in the band.
Well, for Andy, it's pretty good because he has a recording studio set up in his house.
I do.
So you go in there and it's like,
Yeah.
you don't,
In your skimpies or in your fuzzy robe, like whatever time of day, you do it on your own time.
yeah.
And that's what's
That I can appreciate because I was actually going to wear my slippers all day today
Mhm.
and a robe so I could be super casual.
Oh, you're gonna dress up today. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not wearing a bright green construction shirt, so that is kind of dressing up for me. Or my freaking
That goes for both of us.
I know. Or my vest.
Some
Yeah.
high vis wear, you know.
But yeah. So tell me about the studio. What's in your studio? How's it set up?
I have a wonderful 65-inch UHD curved TV. That's my working space, and then
Okay.
using Presonus, Tony and I bounce files back and forth either through Dropbox or TeamViewer or anything like that, and we're able to just coordinate our stuff and transfer stems and file sessions that way. And
Okay. Cool.
I can rebuild the whole session on my side, so he can do that on the same on his side. I track everything in my studio, all my bass stuff. I do a live mic track, I do a DI track, and then I send him those, and then we're able to update the files as needed.
Wow. That would be cool. I mean, if you have the right components, I guess, for lack of better terms, that would make it a lot easier. Because I'm recording stuff on my phone at best, and I barely figure that out. I've got GarageBand and all that stuff, and I'm the dumb bass player.
Wow.
You've got to figure it out.
We all
And I also hide behind a lot of distortion and other noise. So,
we all have our strengths.
I don't know if I have. I can scream. It's still at my age. I can scream.
Okay.
Well, let's get to the roots. When did you get in the band? Because I've been working with Bucko 9 since the inception, basically, back in the early days. So when did you actually get into the band, and how did that happen?
Okay. My first show with them was Thanksgiving 1999, and that was at Cain's.
Okay.
So, and how that came to be, I had tried out for the band. Originally, when I saw the ad in the Reader, there's a whole backstory to this.
Another reader.
Yeah, another Reader discovery, and it said bass player on it. I had known the guys prior to that from the other bands I was in, and even in my hometown, we had Bucko 9 there, we've had Blink there, and actually, two of the guys that told me to recommend moving to San Diego were Tom and Mark.
Oh, really?
From Blink, and I had a really good friend, Sarah, who also lived here too, and that was the main reason I came here. But for Tom and Mark to say, San Diego needs bass players and drummers, as they're smoking a cigarette after a Blink show in my little hometown, and looked at my brother and I was like, we really should try that out. We should really go down to San Diego. And so I moved down here. So anyway, fast forward a couple of years, I'm looking in the Reader, and it says bass player wanted for local punk ska band Bucko 9, and I was like, sweet, I'm going to call that number.
Yeah.
So I call the number, it gets to some voicemail, and I hung up immediately. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to call Tony because I have his personal number. So I call Tony and I'm like, hey, it's Andy from Stinkaholic. And I'd really like to try out for Bucko 9. He goes, get down here. So I go and I try out. And everybody was super stoked. They let me stay to watch some of the other people that were trying out. And it felt like they were going to take me at that time.
Right.
But then they discovered John Bell, who was just getting out of Unwritten Law.
Right.
So they said, hey, Andy, we're going to go with John Bell. He's got a lot of experience, all that good stuff. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I just kind of wrote it off and went back to work as I was here in San Diego. And so they were on their East Coast tour with John Bell out in Pennsylvania, I believe it was. And apparently John fainted on stage during sound check and everything. He was placid white and he had some kind of medical condition.
Right.
And as the guys were driving back from the East Coast, my phone rings. And it's Tony saying, we're going to be in San Diego in 5 days. We have 25 songs on our set list. Can you do this in 5 days? And I said, absolutely.
It's like the old Rollins. Never say no.
Mm-hmm.
Just say yes and then figure out the logistics later.
Mm-hmm.
25 songs in 5 days. Were you already I guess versed in some of the songs enough to?
Well, as a bass player, Scott was a major influence of mine when I would learn to play a lot of, especially walking ska bass lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just got in my garage and I just played the set every day for those 5 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm super nervous when I'm standing in front of that sold out crowd at Cain's.
Right.
And I believe it was their 8th anniversary at the time, which right now we're celebrating our 32nd anniversary.
32nd.
So it was the 8th one that I played. And we went up there and we nailed it,
Yeah.
It was really nervous being in front of all their spouses and friends, and then I could just feel the eyes on me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Of course, especially anytime that you're the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just having eyes on you, in particular can be nerve wracking, but when, 25 songs, I'm coming in, that would drive me up a wall.
Yeah.
But if, sitting in and just working the songs for, the good 5 days that you were allowed, and you just came in flawlessly and was welcomed in, and then was there like a test period? Like, can you pull off this gig? And then if you pull it off, or was it just like, no, you got the gig, let's do this, and then we're going to go?
Yeah, that's pretty much was my induction right there.
Wow. That's cool.
And it
That's
was
cool.
So we're going to do some more tours. We're going to do this and that. And like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I was on board. So.
What other things were you doing then? Did you have a day job that?
Yeah, I worked in restaurants and stuff.
Okay.
I was working at a restaurant in La Jolla up there, being a room captain's corporate, training server up there. So.
Oh, okay.
Food and beverage has always allowed me to move around.
To have the flexibility to tour and okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty important if you go into a gig because they're already established and they have things lined up. So it's kind of thrown right in the hot seat, and then that's amazing.
Yeah, and ever since I had moved to San Diego in '95, I was always playing in 2 or 3 bands at the same time while I was doing my job, while I was doing everything else.
Oh, okay.
Just looking for work, looking to get out and play.
Okay, so you were looking for a permanent gig. Well, let's go to the roots. Let's do the dive, the deep dive. And when did you get into, what inspired you with music, and then what inspired you to get on the bass?
I remember when I was a kid, my mom made me take acoustic guitar lessons, and I hated it.
I had another feeling. I could relate.
I just hate it. It felt comfortable, but everything felt uncomfortable at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave that up for a while, and then my younger brother Neil, he was starting to learn how to play guitar, and he was writing letters from Stymie and Sub Society.
Yeah,
and,
rest in peace.
Yeah, and some of the guys and like Chuck Treese and all that stuff as well. And he started playing guitar, and I was like, that looks really fun. I want to learn how to do something. I saw a bass in one of our local music shops, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
And I put it on, and I instantly connected with it.
Yeah.
And it was this like lightning shaped red bass. the most hideous instrument you could think of, and I
Most metal.
yeah, it could have been right. It could have been like Rat or something like that. But
Yeah.
but I just instantly fell in love with it, and I started playing it a lot.
Yeah. Did you start off finger picking, or do you use an actual pick?
Both. I had a guitar teacher for a while, for about a few months, just to teach me the roots and the basics and stuff, and then I would show him the CD I had of Primus, and I'm like, I want to learn something off this record. And he listens to it, and he goes, yeah, Andy, I don't know what this guy's doing.
Les Claypool.
Yeah. Les is, I watched something with him a while back, and I don't remember what exactly it came from, but it was just trying to figure out his picking. That's what it was. Something about his picking styles, and then just all the different techniques that he had. It was like if you pick one, you can kind of learn that. But he's got. Oh, it was a tutorial on slap bass because I play with a pick. And the only time that I'll finger pick is if I lose my pick, and then I'll be able to carry it. And then I usually bloody my fingers and try to get a pick as quick as possible. But Les's techniques, there's so many different ones, and then combine all those into one thing. But as a kid, hearing him, even me when I was younger, trying to play the bass, it's like, this guy's like, this is incredible. You don't even need a guitar. You can just sit there and do what he does with even someone playing on a pot and pan, and you're done. You're in. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're hooked.
Right.
The bass is, an incredible instrument. So what did you end up learning anything with any less riffs at all? Or
absolutely. Yeah? I ended up learning the whole album of the first one with to Defy the Laws of Tradition and Too Many Puppies, all that stuff. I don't know why the title of it's escaping me right now, but
Through the Seas of Cheese or something.
That was the next record.
Okay.
And I started learning a lot of stuff off of there as well.
Really?
And then I traded in that old lightning bolt bass, and I got a Warwick.
Okay.
Something a little heavier.
Yeah.
And it kind of had that growl and tone that because there's no way I could afford a Carl Thompson at the time.
Yeah.
But
and what age were you when you were going through? What age were you when you first got your metal bass?
Oh, I would have probably been 19.
Oh, okay.
Like that, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And then just started progressing from there. Finished high school, and then I had a Rickenbacker also at the time. And
oh wow.
And as I was doing all the stuff, we moved to San Diego. So
okay.
So would that be Frizzle Fry?
Fizzle Fry, yes.
There we go.
Yeah, that was. I knew how to play that record front to back after a few months.
Wow. So you really just pick it up,
right?
You just.
And after my guitar teacher was like, he's like, I don't know what that guy's doing, and I was like, okay, well then we're done here, because I had got to that point to where I knew the scales, I knew what we were doing.
Right.
I want to learn all this other stuff, the slap pop, the finger picking, the nail strumming, all that stuff. I just went nuts into that.
Really? Did you ever do a band where you were doing some of that? Not
like that kind of texture stuff. That was like studies.
Right.
Like, when you want to learn quantum physics and stuff, that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to play some Primus.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then in my stack, I also had Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sugar Sex Magic. Mm-hmm. I had some Metallica albums, Pearl Jam. That's all the stuff Nirvana, all that kind of stuff I just started diving into.
Okay.
And then I was a big fan of the skate punk stuff as well.
Right.
So Chuck Treese would send some messages through my brother and stuff, and he would send us like some demo cassette tapes, like the stuff he put on the Powell Peralta stuff. So it was really inspiring. He got us into a lot of that Gallop punk.
Yeah.
So then I started finding bands like Lagwagon and all the Fat Records bands, and of course fell in love with all those bands.
And did you skate?
Yeah.
Do you still skate?
At my own risk.
Yeah.
Measuring at my own risk. But my brother and I, we used to chase pro skaters with the video camera and film them and put them in movies and stuff. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
Shout out to Chad Muska if he ever hears this. He was one of my last clients I worked with. But
and down here when he was living in PB and all that.
I think so. We were living in Tempe at the time and doing a bunch of work out there, but we would drive to San Diego and shoot here. and then go back.
Because Muska used to live out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so were you pals with him from back in the day when he was?
He just started skating around with the crew that we were skating with, and we were filming some guys and stuff.
I heard on the 9 Club, shout out to that podcast. He was talking about that, and now I think he had brought you up even by name because he brought up that crew. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing, because I listened to the 9, obviously I'm still really heavily into skateboarding. And, Muska is kind of, it's the Muska. Mm-hmm. We have one of the decks we have up in the bedroom is one of the ones that he did when he was on Element. So and it's probably one of the most expensive skateboards we have in the vast collection we have. But that makes more sense as it's starting to come in because that was a time of the skate rock, and there was, I would say musically, it was more diverse and you weren't so pigeonholed in. So with your bass playing style and what you were coming up with, it was fairly diverse. Mm-hmm. So when did that transfer into where you started to get into ska?
Well, up in the mountains, I was managing a family business up there, our bakery. And every time we were closing the restaurant, I would have Buck-O-Nine playing on the sound speakers. And we get a lot of tourists and stuff. And sometimes people will be like, yeah, I'm from San Diego, Buck-O-Nine. You guys, that's rad. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of had it in my rotation with everything else.
Yeah.
I just love the energy.
Yeah.
And so, and then the band my brother and I were in, Stinkaholic, we were the local guys up in our little town. And so we learned how to book bands. Talk to like Eddie Numskull and talk to Muzio and stuff who were managing bands like Buck-O-Nine and some of the other ones that were managing Blink and stuff. And so we actually were able to get Blink up there a few times for just a few $100, and Buck-O-Nine would come up for a few $100. Skank and Pickle, all these bands, Good Riddance, so many bands that came up to our little town, and everybody just, we have the 650 person venue that just kept getting larger and larger. Until we were selling out shows.
Yeah.
Now 1,000 people are showing up to a 650 person venue. Now 1,200 people are showing up. So then the town was like, no more.
That was all in Oakhurst?
Yeah, that was all in Oakhurst.
And you were promoting those shows, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my brother was doing most of that. My brother Neil was doing a lot of that stuff. I was driving him to get the insurance stuff, and he wasn't old enough to drive.
he was basically the talent buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And did you guys have to rent the venue out, or how did that work?
We had to rent the venue out, the security. We had to have an ambulance standing by with paramedics and everything just in case.
You guys were like on top of it.
Yeah. And then we'd walk away, with a lot of money.
We never had an ambulance standing out for us.
No. Even if one was called for whatever reason, they would just pass by.
We didn't want them to be there. No cops, no ambulance.
And after a few times, it's just our little town just started getting 1,200 kids coming to see this punk rock show or ska show.
Right.
And it was a little too much for our little town at the time.
Oh, I can imagine. It was too much for this big town back when I started doing it down in Union. Mm-hmm. But we were in, down in the gut of downtown San Diego, so it made it a little bit easier, out of sight, out of mind sort of thing. But that's really crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, our lives are basically parallel. You got booking shows, skateboarding.
Working with Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Talking about Numskull?
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is, so shout out to Eddie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get him to listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Eddie in a year.
Yeah, when I left the other day, he's promoting a Descendants show down at one of the local Tioga Sequoia breweries down there. So he's got the Descendants coming back.
Oh, that's cool.
He pretty much does like Bakersfield too, and still does Ventura. Mm-hmm. He used to live in Camarillo, but I think he's out of the country now.
Yeah, but still bringing in the legendary bands.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Which Eddie, shout out to Habeas Corpus, which Eddie was in back in the day.
Nice.
So let's go back to, obviously, but there's so many parallels, and I've got a ton of questions now, but I want to get back to, so you start working, you play the show at Cane's. Mm-hmm. How soon did you guys go back on the road and start, pushing forward now that you've got your new home? And did you have...
Actually, you're jumping ahead. Why don't we talk about Stinkaholic? Because you guys played Soma Metro.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we need to bring up that.
Okay. Yeah, we were having a great time playing Soma Metro, and that's where I met you guys,
Yeah.
And that's when I first started getting a look at the scene. And then we started going to those New Year's Eve shows and stuff like that. And I'd see Bucko 9 up there. And a good friend of mine snuck backstage and was hanging out with Gwen, for the No Doubt show. And, we were just having a rad time with a big group of us that were from this little town. And there would be like 15 of us that would go to your New Year's Eve show or some of the Soma shows at Metro. And, had some of the best times of our lives.
Really?
Yeah.
So you got a group of people from Oakhurst that come down to the New Year's Eve shows at the sports arena.
Yeah.
And you think about those shows too, nobody does that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And the mix, other than, like these big festivals, but that's not the same vibe at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It wasn't corporate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the ones that they have down here at the park down here, Bay Park, whatever. We're actually going to the one next weekend when we're recording this. So the next weekend would be, what's that? The 11th, 12th. That'll be the No Effects, their farewell tour. But for, where we were, I mean, I knew people would kind of come in from East County, maybe LA, drive down. When we were kids, we might, get a caravan and people go up to LA, but Oakhurst, that's a little bit more of a drive.
It's 350 miles from here.
Yeah, so that's,
So you guys would get a hotel, like stay for a couple days. And
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, at that time you were living down here.
Yeah,
right?
some of us were living here, so they would bunk up. Our friends would bunk up with us, and then we'd go having killer time at the sports arena.
That's so crazy. And you were doing Stinkaholic. So who's in Stinkaholic, and when did you guys start that band?
My brother started it, and I think in 92, 93 up in the mountains there.
Okay.
It was kind of like his and our response to very bands that we love, like Operation Ivy, and of course a lot of the punk bands. So we were pulling that kind of thing for a while, and it was just a way for us to express ourselves. And we played a lot of backyard parties up there in the mountains and stuff, where it's just people with baseball bats and they're swinging around the pit and stuff, and like just some really
hardcore scene in there?
unsupervised stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of the 80s stuff. But even, now there's there's a sewer shows and there's some other shows that are still kind of outdoors. And I hear there's a few house parties going on. But would you guys ever have a problem like up there with any violence or anything? Was there like a skinhead problem like down here? Or
No, if there was, it was more in the Fresno area at times.
Okay.
But our project didn't promote that. It just kind of got everybody excited, and
Fresno's always been a pretty violent little city.
Yeah.
A lot of gang type stuff.
That's crazy. Was there a lot of bands?
Yeah.
Up in your...
Yeah, bands. Right off the top of my head here, Let's Go Bowling is from that area. The Crucified back in the day, one of the skate bands.
Yeah.
They're from the Fresno area. They're like that speed metal.
Yeah. I remember them. It might have something on vinyl in the archives.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
But yeah, there'd be some pretty sketchy shows going on there,
Yeah.
And this is, of course, back where no cell phones, no internet, So
Right.
Did you guys do any Sacramento bands?
probably I don't really recall at this time if they were specifically from Sacramento. We got a lot of stuff from the Bay Area. And so that's where we were getting bands like Skink and Pickle, and we became really good friends with Mike Park at the time. And then so we were able to get our band on certain compilations with Bucko 9 and with other things as well. So
And that was with Stinkaholic?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys were established. What happened to the band? Like,
Well, we did our thing down here in San Diego, and then I started getting really busy with Bucko 9, and so it kind of just became a lesser priority thing.
right.
And a couple of my guys, they just had to work all the time, and finally I get into Bucko 9, I'm doing the same thing, but we start traveling more, and so my time just got less available for that.
Right.
What were some of the shows you guys played at Metro? Do you remember who you played with?
Gosh.
Because you guys didn't play Union, right? You just played Metro.
Just Metro, yeah, the Linda Vista one. I'd have to look at some set lists, but it was a lot of those like 4 or 5 band local shows,
Side stage
shows, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember some of the bands because I remember the name for sure. And then in the group,
I remember the name. I remember seeing it on the flyers. the neon color flyers.
Yeah. I'm trying to
But I can't remember who you guys played with. That's the
like the one that keeps popping in my head right now is user friendly.
Probably.
Turkey Mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Was Turkey Malik and probably Dr. Klon. Yeah, I think you.
Jughead's Revenge.
Okay, yeah.
Was there Funkopotamus?
Oh yeah, Funkopotamus. How about like you get into G Spot, Unsteady.
Yeah. Dodgeball at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys do with Spaz Boy too?
Spaz Boy, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds really familiar. What's the other one? Skipjack, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, man, it's just like trying to dig that far back in the memory bank.
That's the thing too, because
throw out to Chad.
yeah. Speaking of, by the time if he ever hears this, Chad, you were supposed to text me back there, brother. But yeah, it's funny because talking about the '90s bands and what bands are still kind of around. John, who's now in Beta 7, he's been trying to do some things, and so we talked to Dodgeball. I sent a message out to Skipjack, and because Skipjack was going to start playing some shows again. But it seems like a lot of the '90s bands have either kind of matured and gone into different projects, or it's just another one of those things as we get older, certain people just can't play anymore. Where Buck 09 has been around literally, 32 years, right? And you've been in it for
over 20.
23.
That's, that's impressive. And still playing, still recording. We've got two vinyl in there. The latest ones, was it, Jerry?
That was a live album.
Yeah.
And we got another more recent one because my wife's a huge fan. And we've actually turned on some other kids that we know onto the band. And so you've got quite the history. You go in from Stinkaholic and playing with like all the seminal '90s bands to playing with Buck 09, which is an always headlining band. So you've been able to tour and all that. And how many albums have you been on with them now?
With Buck 09? I think I'm on four or five now.
Okay. Yeah. And still touring.
Yeah. Well, like when I joined them in 99 into 2000, it wasn't till 2008 did we put out another record.
Okay.
So it was kind of waiting 8 years.
Yeah.
And then between Sustain and Fundamental, it was 12 years. So almost in a 20-year period, we only did 2 records.
And why is that?
Because we're, I don't know.
Scattered.
It takes us a while.
Everybody being pretty much far apart too. That everybody's spread out. So
in the 2000s, we all lived here in San Diego, so we just didn't really. I think after the departure of Scott and John Bell, I think we wanted to just kind of have fun for a while,
right?
And just play a bunch of cool shows, and that's what we did. We went to the UK. We were traveling a lot. We were playing Warped Tours. We were doing all those ska fests in Vegas and stuff. Those big multiple band ska shows, and we were just having a great time. And then I think it was around 2006. We were like, let's go ahead and wrap up all these new songs we've been working on, and like let's finally get a record done. So
yeah,
that's how Sustain was brought into.
And you already had the material, or did you have to go in and write more material, or
well, like with that song I played with when we opened the show here, that was like one of the last entries.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We just needed like 1 or 2 more songs, and I just kind of pitched that one in there because I had showed Tony and the guys before, and they were like, yeah, that sounds like a great song. And then it just kind of got put on the back burner for a while.
Right.
And then we really woodshedded a lot of those songs, like so many times. And John would drive down from LA. He was kind of living in LA at the time, working with Side One Dummy. And, we were just able to put the work in and get that one done. But that was before remote working and stuff. So now we're able to do it in the comfort of our own homes and our respective cities. And
it makes it easier just to kind of, get into it and feel the groove. Would you guys play these songs live at all, or did you try them out before?
We do. I mean, there was one time when we released Fundamental, we were playing a show with Thierry Dread at the Music Box, and we all talked about playing this new song we had called "Don't Be Afraid," and we had never played it together. So that was our mission, was to play that song after learning how to do the remote recording process. That was our test.
Right.
We're going to play this one song that we wrote live at a show with zero practice. And we pulled it off great.
That just gave me chills because I'd be so freaking nervous.
Well,
What year was that?
That was, probably 2016, 17, if I want to say so, at the Music Box. And but it kind of brought back that new energy.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like, okay, I'm just doing this again, you know.
Right.
As maybe some of us do. And it just was like there was nervousness back. It was like, are you ready? Did you practice the line? Did you practice the line? Are you going to do it? Are you going to get that turnaround that we talked about? Okay, you got that? You got it? We're going to talk about it? Okay, let's go.
It's kind of like lighting that little fire, and everyone just kind of little confident.
Challenging everybody.
Right. And
yeah.
I document a lot of our live performances. So I, for my personal thing, and I watched it back and I showed the guys and I was like, look how good, look how perfect we played this. This is how we can move forward with moving on. And if we have to move into different cities, this is how we do it and still do what we do.
Right.
But not be together.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It's just really changing with the times, like everything else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as we get older, we have to adapt to many different things. I mean, it's, going back to just touring and having a job and being able to be in a band, to be in a productive band and to be able to tour, to be able, you either have to make accommodations in your life and you have to have, a home life that you can work with to be able to do that. Like when, Jerry's going onto the road to work with you guys and to be able to go and do those tours, there's, logistics. It's not like as kids. That's why I never went on the road. I had the club to run. That's all I did. So my bands always took second seat to everything. But then whenever I get a chance to go and do it, it'd just be like an onslaught of all this pinned up energy. And we might do a show and then not do a show for another year and a half, 2, or that might be it for the band. So being older and being able to find a way to function as a band, you've found all the ways to accommodate, the different lifestyles. But this is a real test. How much time and logistics do you have to put in before you can get the band together for a tour? Is it like you get an offer and then you start gathering everyone together? And are you doing that, or?
We have a booking agent, Dave Romano, and he sends us offers, and then pretty much we send it to everybody in the band, and if everyone can do it, then we move forward with that.
How long would that usually take? Say you get an offer, a 5-day tour, and you're just going to do, a couple dates.
I'd say a few days, just for all 7 of us to get back.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to think too, 7 people. So
that's what I'm looking at.
Because a lot of hands that's going to go through, and one person can't do it, then it throws throws it out.
And to Jerry's credit, the 8th man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because we really don't want to do much of anything without his help.
Yeah. And then plus there's the logistics of getting the RV, getting everyone in town, picking up everyone from the airport or whatever. I mean, what's
cool with Bucko 9 though is everybody has their job basically.
Right.
So one person, Dan, pretty much deals with the RV. He has his contact over there. So everybody's doing their part to make the tour work.
Right. Instead of just one person trying to, corral everyone.
Yeah, herd cats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much Jerry's lead job most of the time when he wants to get out of the venue. And
I mean, because you guys
I'm the sober guy on the road, so I'm the one that has to take care of these guys. So, and that's again, you're talking 7 band members, so
yeah,
it's
and you kind of known as it's kind of a party band, right?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Well, not everyone.
Some of us have got better, and some of us have got a little worse at it. But yeah, I always try to help Jerry and like, come on, guys, let's get this thing going. He's got to get to the next venue so he can rest and relax, and the guys just want to stand around and party and
hang out till 3 a.m. and we got to drive 8 hours.
Yeah, you can drink in the frickin' bus. Come on, guys, I got to drive. Yeah, that's all those logistics to me. I just still find absolutely just amazing. And so the party band with Jerry, at the wheel because he's a sober one. you guys are doing your gigs, and the touring part. Now we've heard some stories about overseas from Dan and Jeff.
Yeah.
They kind of spilled some beans on some stories, but let's hear from your point of view.
Okay.
So let's see. So the what was it? Japan? Is that is that the crazy spot where? I mean, because you guys are big over in Japan, but what? Help me out. I know there's some story. I'm trying to like pull them out of the air. There's
Were you trying to talk about when Tony got his teeth knocked out, or
that's what I was going to bring up right there.
There's the one. That's one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, we're Tokyo. We're finishing a show, and Tony goes to move and do a spin move, but Dan is standing on his foot.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
So Dan stands on his foot, and Tony goes to lean forward, and he just goes face first with his trumpet into the wedge, and just the mouthpiece just clips his teeth, just bam, and he's had like a little vampire.
Yeah,
and he was bleeding, his mouth's all bleeding and stuff.
And you got that on video too, right?
Got it on video, and he even tried to play the trumpet. He didn't even really notice what happened, and he's trying to play, watching on the replay on the video, and he's trying to play, and he's just like, I can't get the. And all of a sudden, he just sees blood everywhere, and he's just like, he looks at Dan in the middle of the show, and we're playing, and he just like shows him his teeth, and Dan's like, oh my god. And he's like, your teeth are busted.
Oh my! And so I don't remember, how do you pull it off on the rest of the show.
That was it. That was the final.
That was it.
That was the final show to close out Japan, and Tony just had to deal with all that all the way back home.
Right.
And he was able to get fixed through the insurance and stuff, and yeah, but it was pretty wild. I mean, just like he couldn't eat really much of anything. We went to a sushi bar. The promotion company took us out to a sushi bar afterward, and we're doing wasabi rolls and all that stuff. And Tony's
open nerves.
Yeah, he's got his teeth, like, just, if you can imagine, just anything touching the front of your teeth, like just setting nerves off on fire.
Oh yeah,
that's what he had to deal with. And he's trying to eat through the side of his mouth, and it was hilarious and kind of like, we felt for him at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there was and then Andy got injured in Chicago, Tinley Park.
I was setting up some cameras, and I stepped into the darkness off stage, and my leg got caught in the raft or the scaffolding.
Right.
And I got pinched. And the only thing that saved my fall was the rack for the guitar rack. Like MXPX's bass was up there. Zebrahead stuff is up there. Like all their stuff is on this rack, and I'm holding on to it, and it's not bolted down, but I had to keep it from falling down. Otherwise, the weight of my body and everything would have broke my leg. Yeah. And I was able to pull myself up and get myself, and I just had this huge hematoma, like by the end of our set, that was just, it was constantly growing.
It was gnarly. Oh, it was bad, really bad.
Really, yeah.
And he still had he had to play a whole set and then another set that night at Reggie's in downtown Chicago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Ibuprofen and ice pack.
And then on top of that, we had no sleep.
No sleep, and then the next day we had to go to O'Hare and fly out of there, and everybody else had an earlier flight. And so I'm just sitting in O'Hare for like 9 or 10 hours waiting to get back in the air, and just my leg is just, with every heartbeat, it's just throbbing.
So it's your leg and not your foot?
Yeah, like right on the side of your leg, and just and it's swollen. It hurts really bad.
Oh. My God. And see, you weren't even skating, and it's just from on stage.
Yeah, just from being on stage and not really. Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
It sounds, I mean, right now my leg hurts thinking about it.
Yeah, it was probably the most scariest moment I've ever had on stage. It was that particular moment was like, because if I would have fell and broke my leg, it's over.
Right. Yeah.
I'm staying in a hospital. I'm getting my leg in a cast. The guys are taking off without me.
Right.
Like, it really would have caused problems in my getting back to work and doing more shows eventually and all that stuff. It would have really put a...
It's a good thing that didn't happen in Denver.
Yeah. Well, at anywhere, even in Chicago.
But I mean, because that was the start of that run. Mm-hmm. Oh, other than, I think we did the soda bar. Did we do the soda bar the night before? Or I can't remember. We played over there so many times.
Yeah. I just remember playing at the Bluebird there in Denver.
Yeah.
And then we did
down
to Omaha.
Yep. And then Chicago.
Twice.
Actually, we stopped in for 2 hours in Iowa to sleep.
Right.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just to take a nap.
That was horrible.
I mean, poor Jerry. He's a champion driver. You know.
Well, I know. I mean, he drives down here to do the podcast. That's why when I explain to people about scheduling, they say, "Oh no, well, can next week work?"
Mm-hmm.
No, because as I told you before, Jerry has to come down.
Mm-hmm.
I have the luxury; it's in my living room. I just, tell the family we're screwed over the weekend. You guys have to be quiet. There's logistics that have to work out, and that's one of the things that, for me, because I've never really been on the road. I mean, the only time that we did anything was early days. I don't even remember what year it was. It's either 88 or 89. It was probably 89, maybe even 90, but short-lived. They had a gig up at Gilman Street. So we took 3 days. We got a U-Haul, and then the guitarist Dennis drove his van. And we had Justin from The Locust and Dead Cross, and at that time, he was still doing Struggle. And I believe Eric from Struggle, who's also in a bunch of other bands, rest in peace, I believe he went with us. And then I went, and it was a short-lived guys. So it was like 3 days, and that, for me, that's touring. And when we came back, I ended up a chipped tooth, needed a root canal, because I was eating Taco Bell and it fucked up my tooth. And, that was just after 3 days, and I was just miserable. So being on tour where you're where no one knows where you're at, basically, in the band. And you're touring, something like that happens, and you have to just deal with an injury. That's my biggest fear. That's why I don't want to tour. I mean, the tooth damn near took me out. Mm-hmm. But if your leg feels like it was just in a vice and, to the point of almost broken, and you're on a couple hours sleep, I mean, come on. Is it really that worth it?
Yeah. That's why we do it. Yeah.
And it's cool to go out and hang out with everybody, like these guys, they don't see each other that often. And
yeah,
it's the brotherhood, just hanging. And that's why I do it too, the hangout. And it's fun. I mean, it's rough. It's definitely rough.
You have to really love it. It's kind of like what I tell anybody else when you're doing something you love doing. It's a lot of work. So if you don't love it, that's going to show itself real soon.
Right. Well, especially if your heart isn't into it and you're on the road. I mean, of all the bands that have come through all the years playing the club, there's been bands that have come through and you could just tell that they were tired of being on the road. Tony, and when the things that sticks in my mind when Tony from No Doubt came back, they were out for 13 months, I believe. We've talked about this before. But before that tour, he's just like, I just want to go on the road, because on the road it was easier just to, basically their album had just come out, Glenn and him, right?
They were working. That's what it was,
Yeah.
That's why bands want to be on the road back in those days when you did tour all the time, because that was your job.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not your job.
So the idle time, especially when you're in a weird relationship where you've got this band, you're on the label, you've been picked up, you're extremely passionate about it. This is your goal. You want to be doing this. So they went on the road. They come back, I believe it was 13 months later, and I asked him how it was, because at first he's like, I just want to go on the road, Jeremy. I just want to work, Mm-hmm. And then he's like, yeah, dude, I just want to go home. Holidays, birthdays, every day has been on the road, and I just want to go home. Granted, they've been all over the place, but if your passion isn't in that and into your music and into your product and it's your lifestyle, it's going to show on stage.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are paying for you to be able to do that. So if you're up on stage and you're just phoning it in, the audience is going to know.
Right.
They're not going to buy your merch. They're not going to buy your records. They're going to get burnt out. They're not going to come to your shows. So it takes a certain type of person to be on the road that much.
Well, you gotta, it's family. It's basically a marriage in a sense, because everybody's got to get along. If you don't get along, it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work at all.
That's the one thing that I always found curious, because back in the day, Deadbolt had asked me whether or not I'd be interested in going on a European tour and doing bass for him. And granted, he was at a bar and we were all wasted, and I just told Harley, I'm like, yeah, I'll get back to you. I thought about it, and I actually asked my friend Miriam about it. I said, what do you think? And she's like, well, I don't know. And by the time I got back to him, he had already found someone. But I was just thinking, because, all I've done was 3 days with the boys going up to Gilman, and that was crazy. Come back and I need a root canal. My tooth hurts. In Europe with Deadbolt, I think there'd be a lot of drinking, a lot of partying going on. So you got to find that balance. And if you're not comfortable even on the onset with a band, it has to be family, or else you're just, that's how bands break up on the road. That's how a lot of problems happen. Have you ever had those insecurities? Like, we're going to go on the road, we're going to be out for so long, and it seems like you were always just the consummate, just like professional about it.
I think all of us really embrace the idea of cherishing what we're doing,
Okay.
And I see it as a real privilege when I'm on the road. Is it long hours, a lot of downtime? Yes, absolutely it is. But I embrace all of that.
It's just part of the gig.
Just like with anything else, it didn't matter if you're working for a job somewhere else. You still have to travel. You still have to, so you better love it.
Right.
And for that 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes that we get on stage to do it, that's your opportunity to let it all out.
Right.
Whether it be your frustration or your pleasure or your exercise, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Shoot it out. Shoot it right up at the crowd, and hopefully they give it right back to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's a good question. Has there ever been a show where you just kind of thought, we're bombing, this is not working out, or the crowd just wasn't really into it, or
nobody shows up?
We all have the same philosophy. If there's 5 people or 500 or 5,000, we're going to make every single person there have a great time. There'll be certain people that Tony or myself or any one of us will pick out just to see if they're like they got their arms folded and they're
right.
Like the Hollywood show, where 25 people showed up,
right?
And there was like 12 bands playing, and these weren't little bands,
right? That was that big festival, right?
Yeah, with Guttermouth and Pulley and
U.S. Bombs,
U.S. Bombs,
and it was like 25 paid. Pretty much most of the people in that room that were watching the bands were from other bands. Mm-hmm. It was bad. I mean, it was a good show.
But all of us got up there.
It was bad.
Yeah, we all went up there and did our thing.
Because the thing that was odd is we thought that was going to be the biggest show of that run. Mm-hmm. And the best show of that run was in my town in Ventura at the Garage. Yeah. Sold out. The house was just amazing. All the bands. It was a good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that Hollywood one was
horrible.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was sterile.
I think we made $25 in merch or something
like that. Yeah, but we just everybody there did their thing.
Yeah,
and then we all left.
even
Guttermouth at 2 a.m. put on a pretty damn good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah,
Mark's always hilarious.
Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. But it's still, how do you keep morale up if, when people get sick or there's hardly anyone there? Is it just matter just because all the other bands are there?
Yeah. I mean, if any one of us is not feeling tip top, just being around each other and stoking each other out, I think that's how we get through it all.
Yeah.
No one's like, no one gets treated like that. It's just like, come on up, have a beer. We'll get you brought up.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because these are the things that I think about, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, God, I don't know how, after so many years, you can keep up the morale, especially being on road. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you just have the perfect attitude, and it's just the professionalism.
And again, I think it's everybody being spread out too.
Yeah.
So they're not seeing each other every day. I mean, of course, now there's 4 guys that live in San Diego, right?
Right.
From the band, but they're still kind of. That group of people was kind of spread out too.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dan hangs out with Jeff a lot.
Yeah.
So you kind of have your own cliques, but that's the thing that I get excited about whenever I have band practice with whatever project I'm doing is getting together and making a whole bunch of noise. And before it'd be like, when you go and get a studio, So you have 2 hours that, you scrounge up enough time for 2 hours, you go into the studio. And so you just have to go in there and power it out, try to be as professional. But if you're all living around each other, then you get so comfortable that you just start, you're just hanging out, partying, you're not as productive.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are spread apart. So then when you get back together and you're out on the road, that's the party time and that's the productive time.
Mm-hmm. I think all of the stuff we do remotely together, it's like when we get together and finally listen to this stuff together, that's the first time.
Yeah.
So if you remember getting together with your bandmates and hearing that music for the first time, you're all reacting to it. It's really enhanced when you've been working on stuff for so long, and then you guys get a chance to get together and listen to the final product for the first time.
Yeah.
All together. And then you can actually see reactions.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic for sure.
Right. And being on the road, I'm as a cinematographer, I just love documenting and filming and doing all this stuff. And because I know it's not going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I find peace in making these documentary videos. So I have something to reflect on later and relive the touring again.
The historian of the band.
The what?
The historian of the band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Are you doing anything with that? Are you putting together, is there a YouTube or anything that are you just stocking footage right now?
I make episodes of each tour. So,
okay.
And I put in as much detail as I can, Easter eggs, stuff that maybe there's a song we were working on and I put it in there, or a little commercial. We send each other funny videos, and
he does really good videos that he puts together, because he just got me, since I started touring with them, he got me all the footage from the tours I was on with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll put in where we start, the time it took to get there, and then some scenery. So little tidbits of everything, which is cool.
Which that alone, it adds to being on the road even more purpose, because you've got other projects or art endeavors, for lack of better terms, to do to keep you occupied.
Right.
Versus, just someone that's on the road and they're waiting to get to the next gig, maybe do a couple interviews, which we'll get to that in a minute. But when did you start touring with them, Jerry?
I actually was doing stuff with the Suicide Machines, and then I saw these guys, and I'm like, you guys don't have any help? What the hell? So they were all everybody was taking turns doing merch, driving, whatever. Right. I'm like, that can't be that fun. So I hopped on with them around.
What year was this?
Actually, I saw them. We did 2 shows at the House of Blues, Suicide Machines, with Goldfinger, and was it Suburban Heroes or whatever that?
Yeah, I think that's the Anaheim.
Yeah. So we did Anaheim and San Diego.
Suburban Legends.
Sorry, you guys.
No. We got you. We corrected it.
Yep. So yeah, I felt bad for all, man. I'm like, if you guys want me to help, I'll go out with you guys.
And what year was this?
And so the first time I went out with them was January of 2019, but I kind of helped them back in 2018.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't too long ago.
No. And then I have that history with everybody from Selma as well. So
oh yeah,
just like you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, I never went on the road.
Yeah.
I'm you
got to remember, I started tour managing when Metro closed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in my blood. It's like I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is with him being on the road with you guys and the fact that he is, again, just one of those, just disciplined, and he can drive all those hours. Working on documenting. He's also carrying, the merch, which I know that you're involved with that as well. So when you guys are at sound, this is one question I always like to find out about. When you guys are doing sound checks, do you go in and play a song that you're going to be playing on the set, or do you work on new material and work on material kind of on the road?
I wish we worked on new material during sound checks and stuff, but no, it's just play the standard song that we play, which is usually like Round Kid, or
just like at the club, dial it in, get the marks and get off the stage.
Right. If there's a line of other artists that are waiting to get their sound check in, we just get up there, do the stock, get the job done, and get off the stage.
Because it's still the same concept where you do the headliner and you do the opener, and that's it.
Yeah, but you guys are usually a headliner, aren't you?
Sometimes, yeah. If we have the extra time, we'll run through 2 or 3 songs, and hopefully we can run through something new.
And you guys did that on the last run we did.
Yeah, at the amphitheater, I remember we had like a good 10, 20 minutes to just
I
jam
think
out
you guys
some
did.
stuff. And,
Yeah.
Didn't you guys do like 3 songs
yeah, something like that.
at Garden Grove? Which is the next show?
Yeah, on
Next
July
month.
8th. Yeah,
Or not 2 months from now.
yeah. The Gutter Fest show at the Golden
The Garden Amphitheater.
Amphitheater. Yeah,
Garden
Okay.
Grove
Garden Grove. It's like
with Guttermouth.
yeah, you got JFA on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jughead's Revenge.
Heads is on there.
Stolic 13.
Chaser. I'm really excited to see the band Chaser. That's been one of my.
It's like 2 stages, right?
Yeah,
I wonder how that's going to work.
I think they're going to do that inside stage and the outside stage.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and then it might be alternating. So
Is this a one-off gig or is this part of a tour?
One off.
one off.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm to see bands like JFA, like back in my old
Yeah.
days. You know, it's like that's going to be a real treat.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to the roots of skateboarding. And the one thing that I'm finding just amazing is because I never talked about skateboarding when I was at the club. It's just, I've always skateboarded, but I never really realized how it went. You know, when I was younger, skate rock was a big thing. And then once I started doing the club, it was just all about music. So skateboarding was, to me, it's just, it's like art. It's just something I did. But now, so many bands have been either influenced from the skate rock albums or just skateboarding in itself that it's able to kind of tie another one of those knots and bring the whole scene together. And it's just one more of those things that make these festivals and everything a lot more fun. So the Warped Tour that really started promoting that, did you guys do any Warped Tour shows?
A lot of them. Yeah.
Did you ever get tempted to go and skate at all?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you? Because this is one of those main things that a lot of people talk about is, okay, so you're on the road and depending on your label and your management, they might be like, you're not freaking bringing a goddamn skateboard because if something happens to you. As a matter of fact, you're too valuable. Just, we're going to keep an eye on you. We don't want you partying too late or whatever. Were there any restrictions that you guys had?
Nothing like that contractual wise. But there was a couple Warped Tour seasons where I did bring my skateboard just to get around the venue a lot faster. And I have some old footage of that stuff too. Tony and I skateboarding through down garages and stuff like that because like Warped Tours close off the whole area, right? So we would find these garages that were blocked off, and we would just be able to skate down
the parking garages.
Yeah, yeah, the old classic parking garages. And
Do you remember what years you guys? What years you guys played on the Warped Tour?
the mid 2000s, a lot. Like sometimes they were just one offs, and sometimes we were doing like whole West Coast stuff like that.
Okay.
California ones, and I remember being on the road with Bad Religion and Coheed and Cambria and Tiger Army and stuff. And
Oh, wow.
getting to watch those bands every day.
Yeah.
From like the top of the RV, just like, oh, sweet. It's pretty epic,
Yeah. No, that sounds really cool. It's crazy how just, a local band got to that point of being able to have all these opportunities. So there's a Warped Tour. What other, did you slide in on the Ozfest?
No, we never played anything like that. But they had these, I'm trying to remember.
There was one year where I think it was either 99 or 2001 where it was Skating with the Devil. So it was Warped Tour and Ozfest came together.
Oh, wow.
Some state that happened.
Wow.
So both festivals merged.
What about Lollapalooza or?
I don't think we've ever played anything like that. But there's always been these beer, food, skate fest, something like those little functions going on in certain towns. And
Supernova.
yeah. Oh,
That was a beer festival.
Okay.
But anytime I've been in town and I hear or see about a skate festival going on, I'm like, later, guys.
Yeah.
Just tell me when I have to be at the venue. And then all of a sudden I'm hanging out with Steve Cab and Tony Alva and Hasoy. And I'm just like, yes, can you sign? In my room in my house, I have all these skate decks signed by like a lot of guys.
That's rad.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Big
Yeah, he's
fan.
got them hanging on the walls.
Big
See,
fan.
so this is just like an extension of your bedroom, basically.
I
it's all a bunch of my art.
right. I feel super comfortable here.
Yeah. again, that's the whole thing that, especially in season 3, I think for me, as finding the common ground with skateboarding and music was pretty incredible revelation.
Oh yeah, back
for me,
in
because I didn't realize how many people skated.
right.
You know, because I'm one. If I hear someone outside, I could literally be inside just watching TV, and I'll hear. I'm like, oh, what the hell? And, you know, I have that curb out there that I had made because no one really knows about the bowl that I have here in my front yard. But, and then the curb over there is, you know, a nice curb cut. It's a tall one. So people would skate that. And I've had people filming out here, and I'll go out and I'll watch them and then, you know, kind of introduce myself. I'm always the old creepy guy with a lot of these 20-something-year-olds. And I used to, we sponsored a lot of people over the years. So I'd end up going out there and talking to them. And they're like, oh, you skate? And I go, yeah, Red Rum Skates. Oh, that's you? Mm. It's like, yeah, that is me. You've heard of it? Oh, yeah. So, you know, with that and all the festivals, how now it doesn't seem like there's as many skate stuff going on. They've kind of simplified it, and now they're bringing in the beer gardens, food and all that.
The brewery shows.
Yeah. Is that something that you're finding now? Is there's a lot more brewery sort of?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just
festivals
for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, ever since Warped Tour went out, it's all the skate stuff is not
as prevalent. And
we did a handful of X Games too.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
That was pretty rad. Like walking to the cafeteria and like there's Colin McKay and
yeah,
like wow.
So being on the road, you're also, you know, you can be a fan of what's going on, which makes being on the road that much more exciting.
Meeting the people that inspired me to pick up the bass and whether they were in this band or that band, I mean, that's been one of the most rewarding things is meeting the people that influenced me to do what I'm doing. And they play a part in why I'm there meeting them in the first place and wherever we're at.
You ever do any sit down just in an RV somewhere and jam with any of the people that you looked up to growing up on tour? Or?
Not the jam part, but like having conversations with Matt Freeman, you know, when we're in Tucson or El Paso, and we're just talking about stuff that's not even about related to the band. Like, you know, just what do you do for a hobby? And I ride motorcycles. Oh, that's cool. And we're able to have like real conversations that really don't have to do with playing bass or music, but
right.
And I just really get to learn more about the guys that inspired me, the guys and gals that inspired me. Yeah.
Who would be the one that you got to hang out with that you're just like, I cannot believe I'm sitting here right now, pinch myself?
The two Matts, Matt Riddle and Matt Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the ones that like they influenced my playing in a big way.
Riddle's from Face to Face, and then right?
No use for a name.
Oh,
yeah. So
he's a bad man.
Matt played several times at Metro, many times at Metro.
And
yeah, well, I knew him because I started booking Face to Face when they were basically
coming up.
So Matt and Rob and Trevor and I, we kind of, I've told this story before, but when they would pull up at when we were downtown, so they would pull up and I'd come out to meet like I did everyone, and back then it was really low key and we were all really young. But we had a thing where either Matt or myself flick a quarter or whatever we have on us up in the air. And then Trevor would kind of be a little standoffish, like I'm not going to get in the mix, but would be laughing his freaking head off as one of us, either Rob, Matt, or I would try to get the quarter first. And then it was just, you got the visual, the dog pile, someone was always at the bottom.
Remember the days when they would just drive in with their personal vehicles and park in the back of Metro?
Yeah. Yeah. And with these, back then they usually had a van. And the one thing that I would ask them about being on the road, because, they're already from Victorville, but as you head out towards Texas, there's places that are road stops. And you're just on the road, and you probably recall this. You're just driving, both of you, you're driving, and then all of a sudden there's, kind of one of those Adobe bathrooms, and then
Rest area.
yeah, and a couple
We
park
pulled
benches.
those many times. Yes.
I remember those from being a little kid because we would drive from here out to Texas where my dad's family lived. So I would ask them, roadside tables. Oh, yeah. And that's the way that I could relate. And then we just, started forming a friendship from there. But Matt's, oh God, even thinking about him right now, he's incredible. Mm-hmm. Amazing bass player.
Right.
I mean, just ridiculous. And it just his persona on stage. And I could just imagine the three of you guys. I would like to be a fly in the wall just because, I've known Matt for years from playing the club with Rancid as well. Mm-hmm. But to see the three of you guys just sitting there,
I would be beside myself.
that's, that's fun stuff.
Right. I mean, yeah, those two guys influenced, 95% of my playing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, did you want to play something from Stinkaholic?
I can, if you guys want me to.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
But I'd love to see those guys on the road again at some point,
Is there anything coming up where you might run into them again?
I hope so.
Anything in the books that we're looking forward to? Or?
Nothing right away.
We did see Trevor in Chicago.
Oh, did we? Okay, I missed him.
Is he doing his acoustic thing? Or
no, I don't know what he was doing, but he was pretty much to himself. But I did see him there.
Yeah, I actually just reached out to him through Facebook. Mm-hmm. Just recently. We queued up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So this one's called Out to Get Me from Melee album. Here you go.
Till I shave from the hammer that they chose. I feel like an advice like a red repeated close. If your eyes are pointing fingers everywhere I look, I always live my life the same, but I feel this like a crook. Locked up in a jacket, planning for a strand. Restrictions for the fly, the don't know swag. We're living in our show, watching our efforts run. Coming cause I'm running, so I got out to get me. Cops coming to driving down. One over one face running on my earth. Of my life, choose your fate, invest in real estate. Try to block the matter, speak with broken words I hear, but I still feel like a crook. Locked up in the jacket, planning for a second. Restrictions must apply, but don't ask why, cause I'm limiting the truth, watching our enforcement. Calling crazy, but it's like a out to get me. Cops coming to drive me down. Running for one day, flying on my earth. In the jacket, ballot force fed. Locked up in the jacket, ballot force fed. Now they're out to get me. Cops coming to drive me down. Running for one thing, flight on my get me. Cops coming to drive me down. Running for one thing, flight on my earth.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Stinkaholic right there.
That bass is ridiculous.
That's why
so good.
Fit into Bucko 9 so nice and neatly.
Oh, yeah. No, I could totally hear it. I mean, when it sounded like it was probably the, oh my God, E chord. Mm. The little accents that you throw in when you're playing, for me being a bass player, just that one E, I'm like, oh yeah, that fits. Mm-hmm. But it adds that texture. And that's, being a bass player, that's what we have to do. We have to not only be the bass of the music, but the drummer, the foundation, but to be able to walk around like that. So how old were you when you wrote this? So I can, because I kind of have
I'd probably be 24.
Oh, okay.
Ish, like that. It wasn't until 26 when I joined Bucko 9.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's what my brother and I were doing a lot back in the day, and we probably played that at at Union Station over there.
It sounds really
Metro.
familiar.
Metro, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we played that song many times side stage over there at Soma.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah. And people refer to us as a fun, goofy version of Operation Ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear that influence in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Back then, Neil, I think, would write Tim, and Tim would send him letters back. And Neil was very pen pal kind of guy.
Yeah.
So he would write Chuck Treese, he would write all these other guys. And so, Rancid, Operation Ivy was a big influence. And Matt Freeman, of course, on my playing from day one.
Which, again, that's, Matt's not your traditional player either. I mean, he's talented, and he'll walk all over the place because, especially for a lot of bass players when they're younger, either it's finger picking or using a pick, kind of stay in their own lane, for lack of better terms, and just kind of follow the guitar and just keep that going. But you have that style where you're just walking all over the place, so you're adding all that extra texture. Was there ever a time where you just kind of played the notes and kept it 3-chord, or?
It really depends on what the song is asking for. I'm one of those players that I'll play it 10 different ways and then find 5 different ways, 3 different ways, 2, and then 1.
That's exactly what I was getting at, because I'm finding myself doing that now as well. You don't use any pedals or anything, do you? Not even a...
I use a light MXR compressor pedal. That's about it.
Okay.
No effects or anything like that.
Okay. And what is your rig? Just to geek out.
Okay.
What do you, the whole setup, your main bass, and then do you have a secondary bass?
I have 2 wonderful Stingrays from the Ernie Ball company. My reps have helped me find both of them. I've always loved the Stingray brand ever since Flea in the early 90s with Chili Peppers and stuff. And,
right.
I did have some conversations with Fender and some others, but the Ernie Ball brand just seemed to pull me in. In 2006, they gave me my first endorsement, and I was able to walk into any shop and pick whatever Ernie Ball instrument they had. And so I got this really nice limited edition 2006 Stingray.
Nice.
I played that one for until a couple of years ago. It was my main rig for playing shows all over the world. It was really great. And then my rep Robert at Ernie Ball, shout out to Robert. He helped me find the Stealth, the 2 humbuckers, and it's all black.
Yeah,
it's a limited edition black one, and there was only one in the United States. He helped me find, and that's my my main one I play now. That's what I was playing at the fair.
Yeah. Beautiful bass.
Yes.
Okay, what string size do you use, and what wound?
I just use the pink packs, the Ernie Ball Slinkies, the pink pack. I think it's 105 through 45.
Yeah,
if I'm thinking right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I have one bass. It's a cheap Chinese bass that I wanted just to have a backup, because I don't really have a backup at this point. My PV is beyond repair, at least for me. But so it's got the medium wound, and it's brighter, and it just, the way that I play sometimes is, with all the distortion and everything, it works. But I like the 105 for the E string, and that's kind of been my thing. And I was playing, what is it, Blue Steel for a while, and because of Jim Cherry, he gave me some packs back, and rest in peace, Jim. And I just love those strings. But now I'm just sticking with the Diodarios because they're easy to find. Even if my wife's out and sees them somewhere, she'll just pick them up. Because, realistically, if it works, why mess with it?
Right.
So, and then play with the bass I still play is the one I got from Jerry years and years ago. And didn't I trade that for something, or?
Some cymbals.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
And it's an Ibanez Silver Cadet, and I beat that thing to the dickens. What's your bass rig that you play through?
For 30 years, I've had a PV cabinet, which the first year I replaced the speakers in it and the Evanescent speakers, and that's been my main 215 speakers. I've been playing that for 30 years. I found it right out of high school, and I've never changed my cabinet.
And again, it's just, it works. So why even?
Right. And it did come with a PV tube head.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably maybe 500 watts at the time, but a big old monster thing. And I think somewhere around 98, 99, the tube started going out.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated with that. So I went to Carvin up in Temecula,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the factory there and I said, hey, I just got in this band called Buck 09. I need something that's going to be like work on the road. If I was to throw it off of a truck,
Right.
I still need it to work.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we got this brand new solid state 1,000 watt. I was like, sweet, sign me up. I'm all about that. So, and then I was using that for 20 years. And
Okay.
so I just retired that one after cleaning it out. On that last tour we just did with Jerry and us, I brought two heads. I brought a brand new Ampeg 500 watt.
Mm-hmm.
That because I was providing the back line for both Mustard Plug and Omnigon
For everybody.
for everybody. So for 3 bands, my rig is going
The whole tour, 10 shows.
Yeah,
Wow.
all 3 bands are playing my gear.
So same with the drum kit. They're playing Steve's drums. Yeah, everybody's
Jonas is
using our stuff.
Mhm. So I brought 2 bass heads. I cleaned out my original Carvin 1,000 watt head mainly for Omnigon and Mustard Plug to probably use. And then I had my 500 watt Ampeg that I just was able to switch back and forth. So at least I had a guarantee of backup.
Right.
Both heads performed beautifully, the whole thing. I didn't have one single problem.
Yeah. Do you like the solid state or do you like tube?
I like knowing that those tubes don't need any warming up. They don't need anything. It's just I go direct and I'm using a compressor. So I've got the tone I want right from switching it on. But I like the reliability of solid state.
That's, to be honest, that's where I'm at. I want to go through an orange,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, I also want to get like one of those crate 8x8s. But it's just mainly to add more because I want to run it as dirty channel and then I want to run a clean channel. And I just want to be as loud as possible. I want Lenny to rise from the grave and go, what the hell is that noise? And then go, oh, that's a bass. And then go back underground and rest in peace.
Right.
Because I want it to be so loud. And I've actually been messing with my adjustments to try to get a different tone because I didn't literally changed any adjustments on what I've been playing for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that just, again, it works as far as my equipment. I have the GK head, same cabinet, it's a crate cabinet, 2 18-inch JBLs. But then again, I haven't taken that on the road,
Mm-hmm.
And I played a few select shows, but I haven't played, one tour of yours is more than what I've played in 10 years,
Wow.
So I like it. I'm just kind of nervous about having to start playing out more.
And it's when you tour and play in different venues, you'd be super surprised about how your gear sounds really different.
Oh yeah,
from venue to venue.
Oh yeah,
it's
especially outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But with bass, you can just since you're just running clean, you can just go straight direct input into the board.
I could, yeah. Mm-hmm.
As long as you have decent monitors, you can get a good stage sound. Has that ever been a problem where?
There was one time in the UK, the bass amp wasn't working for some reason, and I just plugged directly into the board, and I just heard the bass coming out of the floor.
Oh,
but nothing on stage.
No.
So the guys are like, Andy, are you even playing? And I'm like,
So it was all front of house.
yeah, it was all. You can only hear the bass front of house. You could not hear it on stage.
They didn't have a drum monitor at all, or
No, it was nothing. It was only coming out. So
oh my
they,
god,
they had no stage sound
Right.
at all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So I just played feeling the vibrations.
No monitor world.
Right.
I'd say.
Like, yeah, I wasn't using my ears. I was using my feet.
And again, that's one of those things. You're not just doing doom 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 doom. So I guess in a way, because the songs and the style that you play, the more that you play it, you have so much going on that you can kind of, as long as you get the right tempo, right, you can kind of fill in the blanks.
If I'm playing to the meter,
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually in the pocket because I have so many things to play. I'm not holding out I don't need the timing.
Right.
So
like guitar, it's, I guess it's kind of playing both sides.
Mhm.
Makes it a little bit harder because you are playing so much. But then you can just turn and look at Steve and just stare at him the whole time and blow him kisses and
Which
hopefully not fuck him up. I mean, because there's a lot of that with you guys on stage.
Yeah, because we're there just trying to. I look at Steve and I want to stoke him out. You know, I look at the horn guys. I want to. You see everybody get in each other's faces, and sometimes I'm trying to kick them, and
you got to remember there's more guys on that stage than most bands.
Yeah,
so it's kind of tight space.
It's the camaraderie. So you have to be comfortable stepping on each other's toes, basically, because that's the thing. When you play some places, you go at the soda bar. That stage is tiny. I mean, I look at it, and the projects that I'm doing right now, they're all, Deathiosaurus is just 2 of us, and we're going to probably bring in a drummer. But, yeah, it's just 3. All the projects that I'm currently working on is 3 people. So I look at a stage. I mean, I look at where I jam in there, and that room's not enough. It's like if I move the drums into where we're recording now, then I have enough room. But then you add 7 people.
Yeah. You ever played Joe and Andy's out in La Mesa?
No.
Yeah, I try to do that.
I've played some small stages, and it's that's where as long as the stage isn't too tall and I can go onto the floor, because I've had to do that. There is a place out in La Mesa that we played where luckily I'm loud enough and distorted enough. The only time I need to be on stage is for doing vocals. So, I can go down onto the floor and just play there, or start walking outside if it's small enough. And there was places, God, there's stages around here from the old days. I'm trying to remember that one stage. It was so small, like the Texas Tea House down here in OB. Remember that place? But there's stages that made our side stage or the dungeon at either of the Somas, those would look like main stages compared to these. So squeezing you guys in, and you're just sitting there, basically, yeah.
Was the smallest stage on that In Defense of Ska tour Eugene? Was that the smallest one?
Yeah, I think so. That little
Best Food, small stage. And the load-in area was in the back and was like dirt. So
you were telling me about that nightmare. And wasn't it raining?
No.
Okay, not that one.
No.
They had to have their Wall of Zion, kind of closed. They said that you couldn't have
the door open for some reason.
Yeah, it was a law there.
It was just weird. That whole vibe of that town was weird.
The curtain had to be closed when we were loading in because they couldn't have like an open thing in there.
Because the bar's open.
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh, yeah.
Damn good shepherd's pie.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
That was.
It was a fun show. And when we were out there, I escaped. I saw a skate park just a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
And I bailed from the venue after load in and sound check, and I just sat there at a skate park watching all these kids skate, and it was really cool.
Because you got to remember, too, like Andy was saying earlier, that whole tour, we provided the back line. So we had to load in first and load out last, where everybody else was just taking their guitars, their horns or whatever, leaving the stage and taking off and going wherever they're going to go. We always had to be the last one to leave.
Yeah.
They want us there first, and we had to be the last one to leave.
Well, load in and then dial the room in too with the sound check.
And depending on who, because we alternated headliners between Mustard Plug and Bucko 9. So, one city would be their city, one city would be our city. So yeah, it was rough.
But luckily the excitement, and then the occasional skate park you can run off to. But what's been the worst stage that you've ever been on? Like where if it was, say the venue was brought up again, even if it was just a one-off or in the middle of a tour, is there a stage where you're just like, no, I don't want to be on that?
The stage we played at that street fair, I think in 2019 in San Diego, that Adams Avenue street.
My birthday party show, which I wasn't at the show.
Is that the one? We call it.
Yep.
It was seriously rocking in every direction. It felt very unnerving. Like it ruined my concentration to even play up there, because it felt like the whole thing was just we were probably 8 feet up in the air, and the whole thing is just rocking in every direction, and like didn't feel stable at all. And it made me really, really nervous.
Can you bring up what happened at that show? Or
I don't know if I can. Maybe not on the record, but
all right. We won't bring it up. Sorry, people.
Yeah. someone decided to jump off the stage and cause problems for us. So, but that's all resolved now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're dead? Or
No.
Jail?
No, just
Not that good?
they just
You can read about it or see it on TMZ if you...
maybe, yeah. Yeah, just
But it had nothing to do with the band. It was security matters.
yeah,
and, you know,
security matter.
Yeah, well, there's no reason
stuff
to,
we used to
yeah.
have to deal with back at the Soma days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different story. I just like geeking out on bass play. I mean, I'm sitting here with another bass player. There's,
It's like
in
first,
my head,
first
there's...
time, right? On a podcast that we've done.
Yeah,
I don't think we had any other bass players come in.
just with the Calvins, but
Yeah, other than the whole band.
you know, and I didn't want to geek out too much because there was 3 other guys in the band. They're going, we don't care about you and the bass player talking. We're all here.
Talk to the rest of us, please.
Yeah, but no, there's because there's I was just remembering the other night or other day because I mow lawns for a living, so I'm working. I'm listening to a podcast, and something had come up, and I was also trying to think of questions and directions of where to go with just asking and sitting with people. So I had this one event we did. I believe it was the Newport Art Institute or something. It's this really weird thing. It was outside. We were playing with this noise band called Dog. And the guy basically, he would do noise. It was like a noise project. And he would just layer textures of noise and electronics and then do vocals over it. So there was, God, maybe 20 people. And this was I think it was just the 3 of us. Maybe there was 4 of us, but the band Urine when I was doing Urine. So I'm doing bass, dirty bass, vocals, drummer, guitarist. And we had a clean bass player, but I don't think he went to this. So we show up at this thing, Dog does their thing. And, artsy people, we went and got a whole bunch of alcohol. So I remember getting the 40 ounces of apple cider. So I had a couple of those. So I was, primed, really primed. We're playing, and I use a lot of distortion, a lot of noise in this project. Chad, our guitar player, breaks like 2 or 3 strings. So for the couple people that are still there, and then the guy from Dog was still there, I'm improvising with our drummer, Shane, doing noise and distortion and just trying to keep the vibe going, but kind of trying to not lose the interest of the people that are losing interest, including Chad on guitar as he's trying to string up more strings to play. And as awful it was, and as kind of scary and intimidated it was to be out of town, to be that lit, to have it be that much of just a complete disaster as far as our set, everyone there loved it. The dude from Dog's like, oh man, I want to work with you. If I send you stuff, will you lay tracks on it? I'm like, yeah, I'll have to get a 4-track, but yeah. And I eventually ended up doing that. Complete nightmare. Mm-hmm. Everyone loved it. And I'm like, how could that be? This is, the worst time I've ever played live. Is there anything that compares to that where you're just like, I cannot believe this was just an absolute shit show, but everyone's just like, fuck it, that was rad.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those.
Oh, okay.
Or just maybe you're not feeling it, maybe you're not in tune, maybe you're
right.
not really observing what's going on. But for Bucko 9, I think a lot of it's been vibe. And as long as everybody's having a good time, we're not really focused on the perfection of it.
Okay. Yeah.
We're usually just going off. If we flub a note, so be it. We're having fun. We're having more fun than trying to be precise.
It's part of the live show.
Right. Well, that's another
shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, there was someone had either, I think it was the drummer for Cimentario, the more noise band that I'm doing. I'm playing with this kid, David. He's 18 and really talented kid on guitar and on drums, but he's doing drums in this project. He's really into like Meshuggah and that mathematical crazy Freaking love that stuff. So he had sent me this video. It had, if I remember correctly, about 128,000 views on, I think it was either a reel on Instagram or YouTube. The kid on drums quit and walked off stage because the vibe wasn't there and he wasn't feeling it, if I remember the tag on it. So, and this, it looked like a young kid. And I'm thinking to myself, has there ever been a time where the show's been so bad where I've just walked off? And it's like, no, I'll reach down, and I've done some crazy shows with Pour and Cockroach. And I mean, you know, my shows are kind of, I don't know if you've ever seen me play, because none of the bands played out too much.
Well, I probably saw you at Soma at some point,
with my red mohawk and just absolute artsy madman. Cockroach was with the dodgeball guys, and then we did that when Jay from Spaz Boy. But the idea, letting the kids know that it's all right if you're not feeling the vibe, that you can just walk off stage. Number one, that's not professional at all. And that's something that when I was, trying to work with bands, and like when you guys would come through as Stinkaholic and everyone in early days, if a band member couldn't play, I remember getting on the horn, just telling everyone, we'll just come down and either try to replace them. If you can't do that, just go up and do what you can so that your audience sees that you're still professional and that you're into this and that you care about them. Even if you just show up and tell all your fans that you can't play, unfortunately, this happened, but to be on stage and to walk off stage.
No, you're letting your people down.
Well, just like that injury he got in Chicago. I mean, he could have
the show
totally
must
walked
go
off
on
the stage because he was pretty badly injured.
Yeah, I mean,
but he fought through it and performed.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what we're there to do. Is put on a show.
And that's the thing, too, is I think it's good for the younger listeners or anyone in a band to know from someone who is established as yourself, as long as you're up there and you're giving it the college try, just don't phone anything in, right? Just do your best. And just, it's not the end of the world if something happens. Like, I was thinking about this. There was another show we were playing, one of the famous Hollywood the bars, but it was really weird because there was hardly anyone in there when we were playing. Everyone was out in the back. So someone had said, and there was a lot of Hollywood elites and a lot of, foo-foo, Hollywood. And it was with Sin Sin 77, and I broke my A string. So I had to quickly improvise because most of everything I did in Sin Sin was on the A string. So I had to quickly improvise and then do it on the E string, which, when there's E string notes and then A, you have to really think. And so I just went more into the energy and more of looking at Stoney, my guitarist, and Lucy on keys, and just trying to make it work. I was in it. I was not phoning it in. I did a little bit more antics, and I did what I could to just make it work, because there was no way in hell. I think someone eventually from another band gave me a bass, and I was like, oh, all right, I got an A string again. So we just, just made it work.
Right.
But, shit happens sometimes when you're on stage.
Right.
You almost fall off and almost kill yourself. Or, some bands, they have fallen off. There's the famous one where someone got blown up with their own pyrotechnics.
Oh, jeez.
Metallica. Remember when James got fried? So that's an excuse to walk off of the stage. But if you miss a note, smile.
Yeah.
And just
recover.
Or like me, go, what the fuck was that? While still playing.
The show must go on.
Yeah, there was a show we were playing with the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones in House of Blues, Anaheim, downtown Disney, when it was still over there. And we're playing sound system, as we always do every show, the Operation Ivy cover. And my bass it drops out. It's gone. For whatever reason, the guys all look at me. We're still in the song. I'm telling them to keep going, keep going. I'm trying to diagnose what's going on. I got no sound, got nothing going on. The sound man comes running out. I throw my bass. Here, take this. Boom. And I run off stage. The guys are still playing.
Yeah.
The show was still going on.
Yeah.
I kick open the door to the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I'm like, "Where's Gittleman? I need to borrow his bass real quick." I don't know. I think he's on the roof having a cigarette or something. Crap. So I go right back to the stage, and the sound man has Gittleman's bass in his hand. He goes, "Here you go. You can use this." And I was like, "Sweet." Popped it on, plugged it all right in, had a thump. The guys were just finishing the song.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had sound, a good go, gave him thumbs up, and next song we went, didn't miss a beat at all. Just jumped right back into it.
See, that's awesome to test to the rest of the band. They're like, yeah, we don't need him right now. We got this.
Yeah.
He's going to figure it out, and he's going to come back on stage.
Yeah, we didn't need to do like, all right, let's hold on, let's stop the show real quick.
Right.
No, we just steamrolled through the whole thing.
And there's always a lot going on during that that song. So
yeah, I mean, all of it's important, sure, but also I didn't want the show to stop. I wanted the guys to keep playing. I'm going to figure this out.
Right.
I've got this. I don't, let's just keep going.
And they know, again, it's the professionalism. God, it just, see, this is something I don't think that we've ever really dove in with any band. And in talking about anything about, when something like this happens, and the band just has enough confidence that, yeah, well, we got this. He's going to figure it out. And then he's going to get back up on stage, and we're just going to, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. It's live.
I realized
it's panic though.
There's a little bit of panic, until everything is restored.
It's scary.
Yeah, but I think after that particular moment, I felt like I was ready for anything.
So it kind of builds character.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, just throwing my bass to the stage manager, sound guy, and I was just like, "Here, take this," and because I just needed somewhere to get it off me so I can run off stage.
Right.
And then I just instinctively went to their dressing room looking for him. I was just looking for a bass
because the clicker is clicking down. It's all seconds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it felt like 20 minutes to me, but it probably was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
In real time. So.
Exactly. There's been times at the club that I know I usually forget is because the power's gone out on both clubs a couple times. I believe one time
lights, sound, all kinds of
shit. I mean we blew at Metro. We blew a breaker. I believe it was when Meat was playing, and Len got pissed at me because anything would happen and he would get pissed at me like, what the fuck is going on? But I believe Meat was playing, and I think we blew one of the breakers. And, Meat wasn't exactly easy listening. It was not Jazz 98. Meat was down-tuned, heavily distorted, growly vocals, screaming vocals, pounding in your face. If you don't have a bowel movement at the end of the song, there's still another song coming. I mean, it's brutal type stuff. And so it kind of adds to that air of anything can happen, which personally, being a performer, I like that. But seeing other bands go through that when something does happen, bass drops out, guitar drops out, whatever, Stinger jumps into the crowd and then he's gone for a couple of minutes. I couldn't imagine doing, especially in the early days, doing an Iggy Pop show. Iggy's a fucking madman.
Right.
I mean, the more that I get older, the more that I look at him and go, I guess he was a heavy influence on me. But those shows where, anything can happen, it's about to get out of control.
And that's at every show.
And it's that excitement that makes it live, but it's how professional people are about it and how they approach it and how they deal with it, that either you're never coming back to play that club again, or they're like, you know what? Can you guys stay another night? Because we have this other band that we're not too sure about. It's the professional attitude and the way that you deal with things.
Well, it's also what makes those shows stand out, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like if every show went super good, those shows aren't going to stand out.
They become generic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's hear something. We got something newer that you can share with us?
I can't share any of the newest Bucko 9 stuff just yet because it's still in the creation process.
It has to be put up by the label before you can share it.
Yeah, we're not allowed to share any of that kind of stuff yet. But
because of rights and all that. But what's something that highlights you?
Okay. So when I first started in Bucko 9, John Pebsworth, our singer, Jonas Kleiner, and our drummer at the time, Jeff Hawthorne, we started doing a side project called the Winos.
Okay.
And I know we played Union.
Yeah.
I know we played it once, maybe twice.
Not Union, Metro.
Metro.
Or is it the new place?
It was the Linda Vista place.
That's
Okay, Metro.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we played once with. I have the flyer in my thing somewhere, but
What year was that?
2000.
No, that's the new Soma.
The sports arena one.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Metro closed down in '99, and then Scott and I opened
It might have
the
been,
new one in 2002.
It might have been that early. I just know we played Soma, but this was our little side project we did without the horns in Buckle Night, and it was a little more down and dirty thing. So this one's called Shrunken Head.
Okay, cool.
And different bass playing too.
Shrunken head, deep down inside of it. I got a little head with a big brain inside of it. I got the mind control. I got a lot of soul. I got a big heart with blood flowing through to it. There's someone knocking at my back door. It's the devil and Miss Jones. And look at the scar. There's someone knocking at my back door. They're smoking cigarettes and they're out of their minds. I got a shrunken head deep down inside of it. I got a monster with legs that like to move. I got a mumbling dog, sounds like what you gain. I got a little hat that fits right from the blade. There's someone knocking at my back door. It's the devil and Miss Jones, and look at this scar. There's someone knocking at my back door. They're smoking cigarettes and they're wow, out of their mind, man. Hurricanes all around, Robert Johnson's getting loud. The devil's sitting on a fence, mosquitoes are in your pants. I got the mind control, I got a lot of soul. I got a big heart, blood flowing through to it. There's someone knocking at my back door. It's the rolling hell, it says, it's coming down. There's someone knocking at my back door. It's old Todd Mahal and the broken Todd.
Yeah. So that's the Winos.
I like that a lot.
We used to play the Epic Center, as my buddy Cosme calls it, the non-Epic Center.
Which John used to run at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, John was doing a lot of booking and got to see a lot of really cool bands like Bedouin Soundclash there, and it was one of those interesting like YMCA feel places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a couple shows there
Yeah,
when was working for Golden Voice, and actually, I think the last show I went there was for the first show of Boxcar Racer.
Okay.
Very first time they played live.
that'd have been sweet.
Is that the place in Mira Mesa that's...
Yes.
But, okay. Yeah, I grew up in Mira Mesa. Well, I started in OB and OB Point Loma, and then we moved to Mira Mesa in 71, back when it was still being developed. But I went because I'd heard about the Epicenter, and, you know, when I left Stoma, I just dropped out. I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life now. And, but I ended up going, my nephew was in a band, they played there. And going there, number one, going back to Mira Mesa, because I basically avoided Mira Mesa like the plague, literally. And then going to that venue, I'm like, this is kind of interesting. You know, and I'm personally, as much as I like what Jerry and Scott did at the newer Soma, and now it's really, really corporate. I mean, it's nice and all that, but I'm used to downtown for like a punk rock club. That's even the Metro one to me was a little bit, kind of clean. But the Epicenter, it just seemed like you don't want to throw a freaking punk rock show in this place.
It was all glass windows.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, even like right now, I'm thinking about picking up a brick and throwing it through one. So going into that place, it's like, this is interesting. But it was cool that there's, venues for people to play at. But this is the type of thing that I could see you guys playing in a small, dirty,
Casbah.
Dirty, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And did you guys put anything out other than this? Is there like a 7-inch or?
No, we just put out that one deal, and then Jonas ended up wanting to play more rhythm and blues stuff, so he peeled off from this little project we were doing, and then John, Jeff, and I continued on with our new name, Jet Cinema. And we started doing that for a little bit, and we played like Casbah, Velvet at the time, I think, and the non-Epic Center, and and
when did the Epic Center close down?
That's a good question, huh?
I want to say somewhere around 2005-ish.
Was John still running it? Or?
I don't know. I think they just sold it, or it closed down, or something. Or
it's just that whole place was weird, because I did some of the first shows there, and after Soma closed down, and it was actually, I was asked to run it, and I was going on. I was going to go on Ozfest, and I said, "Nah, I'm turning it down." That's when John took it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird how everything's full circle.
Right. I mean, there's all these little places. I mean, I remember back in the day, Shea Cafe, and Soul Kitchen.
Yep.
There's all these little
Mesopotamia,
World Beat Center.
Yeah, World Beat, when it was right here on Kettner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now that's they put apartment buildings, low income, this whole huge complex where that was. And then in the back of the World Beat Center, then Ezod had it.
Showcase. And
then back behind that is where they had the Gothic club. There was a dance club back there. Because, that's the roots of where Soma was, is it was a dance club.
Mm-hmm.
And Gothic club, industrial. And then it slowly, once I got brought into the mix in 89, then that's when I started booking a lot of shows in the dungeon. That's where all that came up from. But during that time, the Epicenter and, a lot of other places started closing down.
Well, the Epicenter didn't exist until
after
mid-90s, actually the late 90s. After Metro closed down.
What was the other one? That was an industrial park, a low ceiling, poorly.
Oh, that was the Scene.
The Scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, when we opened the new Soma, the Scene and Canes went away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and there was so Canes was down in PB. There was other places in PB. There
Canes was Mission Beach.
Oh, okay.
Belmont Park.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm trying to think. Because there was a lot of different places to play around town, and as that slowly started to deteriorate, were you guys, as Bucko 9, did you find yourselves playing locally more, or going out and playing like festivals? And
I'd say a little bit of both. I mean, San Diego kind of has this thing where you shouldn't be playing too many shows in a certain period of time.
Oh yeah,
so that would always push us out to at least play Phoenix, Vegas, anywhere in the Southwest. We could get out and play some shows like every 6-9 months.
So that did kind of help, and
which we still do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny because now, because I know my guitarist, or the drummer for the one band, his buddy, or his, I can't remember the name. I'd like to give him a shout, but he's booking the Che, so the Che's coming back. I like the Triton. Did you ever go to any shows there? That was also up at the college. Do you go to any shows there? Oh my God, it was a great place. But so the Che is doing shows. There's Queen Bees, and they're $20 for local bands, which seems like extortion, but that's different time, different play, or a different conversation. There's a lot of places, and I can't remember all the different places. There's OB has something going on now. Bands seem to be basically playing 2 to 3 times, if not more, a week. And there's all these places where they're playing. But that's the formula that we had, or I started with from Len, and then Jerry carried on, is you don't play, and we've discussed this many times, you don't play your hometown constantly. You should branch out, because if you play too much and you saturate the town, people will stop coming to your gigs.
Right. Overkill.
Right.
But it doesn't seem that way anymore. I mean, people are just playing all the freaking time.
I think that's because of COVID.
That's exactly where I was going to try to come around to. Is it because of COVID that are things opening up more for Buck 09 for you guys right now, or are you so concentrated on getting this album out, or what's?
I'd say it's a careful dance of all of that stuff. We're trying to remain focused on the album. We all have our personal life stuff going on, and then we try to put in some shows every now and then, but sometimes working on the album occupies that time that we maybe could be playing a show.
Right.
So yeah, sometimes it gets in the way.
So the last show you saw, Rolando, there was 3 days in the studio recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prior to that show, I know Tony was in the studio with John doing vocals and stuff. Like
that was the first day.
the 2 or 3 days leading up to that Rolando show. So we just try to consolidate that whole thing.
And then it was backing vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And didn't Jerry get some vocal work on?
I did some backing vocals on one song.
Woohoo!
So he's going to be on vinyl. I'm still not on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
At all. Well, no, wait, I take it back. I do. There was a short-lived back in the day. I am one of, I don't know, I think there's 6 or 8 of us that did some backing for Happy Days, one of the songs. So that's as close. Out of the, I don't know, probably close to 20 different demos and CDs that I put out with all the bands. But, no vinyl. But coming full circle, is there a side project you're working on right now?
No, I'm in my house in my hometown. I kind of lease myself out as an audio engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing that for 20 years.
Okay.
Along with Tony. I do all my bass lines at my house at home, and I send him my tracks, where Tony has to go to the other guys and capture their parts and put them together. I just phone it in to Tony and like, oh, your DI and your mic track is waiting for you in your email. You're good to go.
Tony does all the recording and he does the mixing and the mastering.
Yeah.
And I have the credits of assistant engineer.
Because he has the home studio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
See, that just, when you put it that way, it's like, well, you don't really need a side project if you're just constantly, so you're obviously, fairly busy. Would you consider yourself comfortably busy with everything you got going on where
it's all pretty manageable? And back to my skateboard history and stuff, 20 years ago in El Cajon, I would intern for Steve Stedham at his recording studio out there in El Cajon.
Yeah.
And I spent a good couple of years with him. We were going through that whole phase of transitioning from analog, from 2-inch to ADAT to computer to digital.
Yeah.
And so we were just kind of both tackling all that together. And then we would go into the parking lot and just push our skates around a little bit. And, anyway, last time I saw Steve was probably 10 years ago at a NAMM event, and I ran into Steve again. It was really
cool. I didn't know he had a recording studio.
Yeah.
He's got a metal band now, doesn't he?
Yeah. I played jazz. I played a 7-string bass in his jazz project back at the
7-string?
Yes, sir.
The noise I can make with it.
It was like before all the metal stuff came out, so it was mostly used for jazz. And but I played a couple shows with Steve Stedham, like closer to downtown. We'd be one of those bands out in a corner somewhere playing some jazz in the corner.
Oh wow! I had no idea because I've got the board up there, and then I've got the board back here. He had coffee at one point. I got some coffee from him, but yeah, I've probably, getting back to skateboarding, probably skated with them somewhere. My wife used to have a ramp when they were in Linda Vista. So, I wish I could remember the guy's name that was a regular there. But I asked up here, what's his name? Kevin. I asked him, and there was someone else. She doesn't quite remember because she was young. So this was the 80s. But, back in the 80s, very, very, very few half pipes anywhere. For one, it wasn't popular. If you skated vert, what the fuck is vert? A ramp made out of wood?
Well, there's vert or street. You didn't really do a lot of both.
When I grew up, it was you rode a skateboard. You were sidewalk surfing. Like I still to this day, I cannot do a kickflip. I never learned. I learned the old ones, the first ones. But once Rodney started basically taking freestyle and making it all into street style, I would do a boneless. I would kind of finger flip, but that wasn't my whole gig. So full circle, I think I probably did skate with Steve. I skated with a lot of people back in the day, even went to Del Mar a couple of times, but it wasn't on the radar, and I didn't even think of them doing music. So bringing full circle back again, you got skateboarding, music, San Diego, and all these different connections. At this point with Buck 09 and everything that you're doing, what is, what drives you through the day? Like what do you think about when you're getting up in the morning? Is it to go into the studio to work on a new bass line? Is it
could
putting
be
on a skate video? What?
Yeah. Well, in my spare time, I do a lot of video editing, whether it be our documentaries or the tour stuff, or I've worked on a lot of music videos, professional stuff for Side One Dummy. I've been a video editor and a cinematographer for 20 years.
Did you work on Pick It Up?
I did. I sent Pick It Up all the raw footage for all the Buck 09 stuff that I had on VHS. Everything that those guys, my guys have had, they give to me. I'm the archive keeper.
So you digitized everything.
I digitized everything and gave them all the samples that were used in the movie.
So you were very busy.
I almost swapped this one little bit of live footage that they used, and I almost put the version of me in it instead of Scott, but I figured that would have probably been a mean trick.
So that way you could get in the movie.
Yeah, there's one show we played at the Belly Up a long time ago, and when Jeff was our drummer at the time, and Steve was visiting, and he came up and play a couple songs, and I had the footage of like we were really young, and it was me playing bass and not Scott, but I almost put that in the movie.
That's funny.
But I figured it'd be too hardcore of a prank.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of hard. Oh, it's my bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how that got there.
I was going to ask you too. When did you start with Mikey and his uke? When did you start doing stuff with that?
During the pandemic, I started seeing a lot of his stuff. Shout out to Mikey. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your movies, your videos. But I reached out to him and just said, hey, this is Andy from Buck 09. I'm a big fan. I would love to help out in any way, be part of your stuff. And he ended up contacting me like a few weeks later and was like, yeah, I love your band, Andy, and I'd really like you to be on the series. So
nice.
My first one was doing Same in the End by Sublime with Dave McWayne from Big D and the Kids Table, Lawrence Katz from Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and of course Darren Pfeiffer from Ex Goldfinger and Punk Rock Karaoke. And so I got to do that, and Eric even mentioned in the comments, he was like, oh, that guy Andy did a great job. It's really cool. That was really rewarding. That sold it for me right there. And then I got to do a couple Rancid songs, As Wicked and Dally City Train. And then I also did a cover of the Vandals, Oi to the World, where I did a whole keyboard orchestra. I replicated what Joe did on my MIDI keyboard for all the Mikey asked me to do all that stuff and then play bass on it as well.
Wow.
With a bunch of people. So I got to do that. Was really, really cool and really fun. I shot all that stuff that I did around the property of my house up in the mountains and stuff. And I just sent it in, and Mikey handled the rest of it, handled the mix and the editing and everything else. And that was really cool.
That's nice.
Those are my favorite videos to show because, I'm playing with some pretty awesome artists and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What anything like that coming up? Any projects that...
Nothing on the table right now at this moment. I just got a major job promotion at my employer up in near Yosemite, and so that kind of keeps me busy 60 hours a week for the most part.
Oh wow,
doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, but I try to play music anytime and every time I can in my home studio. It's as easy as walking in there, flipping everything on, and going for it. So,
yeah.
When do you think the album's going to come out? The new Buck 09 album?
My guess at this point, since when we did the live record, it got pushed till June, when we finished it in June, and they said it would probably come out in April, so I'm guessing April.
Can we mention the title of the album?
Cut Out the Noise is the working title right now. So
Okay, cool.
and I think this record's going to have some. It's got some pretty like mellow vibes, and it's got some pretty rad vibes too. So
Yeah, there's some pretty punky songs on there.
Yeah.
And from the text I got yesterday from the guys, I think Tony is putting his vocals and his trumpet parts down this week.
Oh, nice.
And I've redone my bass parts probably 4 or 5 times right now on some songs because I have the freedom of doing it whenever I want, whenever I feel it. So I can just go, oh, I want to update this. And I update it and I send it to Tony.
And there's a song on there that just Tony sings on by himself, right?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. But a lot of these songs we've had for a few years. And we just kind of sing them on tour, and I put them as Easter eggs in our documentary movies and stuff like that. So keep them listening to it and stuff. But
well, when I do the info and all this, we're gonna definitely have to list all the projects and where that to share with the public, and all your social media and all that. But in the meantime, because I know that you've got a long drive ahead of you.
Yeah.
Is there another song that we can play before we start wrapping some things up?
See what I got here. I was doing all in my 18, 20 years here, living here in San Diego. I was always busy playing in bands and playing with artists and learning engineering, all that kind of stuff that influenced me through the years. So I just have done a lot of stuff, and it's been a real privilege.
Yeah.
To do every. When I'm up at my house in the mountains, I reflect on the walls and then the skateboard decks that I have and everything, and it brings back a lot of great memories.
Yeah.
And I reflect on it, and I'm just super proud of what I've been able to accomplish and what this town has like enabled me to experience.
Right. Right.
It's pretty phenomenal when I think about when I was way back 30 years ago when I was living in my little town and contacting and meeting Blink and Bucko 9 and a handful of other bands, and just how that led to connecting with them here in San Diego and to being in the band and just all that stuff. It's amazing how it works out.
Yeah.
It's a small world with the music community. People don't realize how small it is, but it is.
Yeah, and I wish I was more proactive, like in meeting all you guys at the club and stuff. We were so just into our music, and after we play a live show, whether it be at Soma or wherever, we would go back to the rehearsal room and play more.
Wow.
Like that was our routine. Like,
yeah.
And
again, it's the professionalism, and just on my part, by the end of it, I was a wreck. I was so stressed out. I was trying to carry so many things, so I wasn't exactly the most approachable. But now I can honestly say that I appreciate everything that you've done. I appreciate you coming in here and chatting with Jerry and I had no idea of the connection again to skateboarding. Because we could have just sat out back and, I would have brought a board in the car and we could just sit out there and do slappies for an hour. But again, I had no idea. So hearing all that, and for whenever Jerry and I sit with anyone and we get to learn the stories, that's what I love to hear. It's just all the little tidbits that make certain person that, their band is one thing. But outside of that, I like to learn the story. So let's what do you got lined up for us here?
Yeah, and then with the skateboarding, that's like the old Santa Cruz skate video, "Streets on Fire." Like the Natas Kappa stuff. That's what got me into a lot of music, especially like Fire Hose.
Yeah,
and a lot of those bands and stuff. That's really how I got wedged into skate music, was thanks to Santa Cruz and the Powell Peralta videos and all that stuff. That was our only. We had no internet at the time, so that was the only way we were able to hear bands.
Yeah,
in that genre was through skate
mixtapes, and then the skate videos. Really, to this day, that's still something that influences a lot of the youth.
Yeah, right. All right, so I'm gonna just close this out with Jet Cinema. This was John on vocals and guitar, and then Jeff on drums, and myself on bass. It's called Friends. I think it's probably a good one to close it out to tonight.
All right.
Since I'm with friends.
Well, thanks, Andy, for coming down.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All the drive.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
I've got these phones that come from San Francisco. They've got ideas about breaking all the laws. They seem to set me straight when I've got no friends to call on. I sometimes dream about them asking me to join them. Not down another drink, they're forcing me to think my education. I've got these friends that come from shit forgotten towns. They manage thoughts about better days to come. It'll be years before anyone will hear them. And when they do, they'll hear it time and time again. Not down another drink, they're forcing me to think my education. Yeah. Sometimes I feel all alone, like a badger in the dark, all alone. The melody of art have I shown to be worthy of my friends. I surely listen to them, time again. Sat down another drink, shot forcing me to think my education. I've got these friends that come from New York City. They've got ideas about getting crazy. The city never sleeps, they throw confetti. And when it's time to shine, they're always ready. Knock down another drink, they're forcing me to think my education. Sometimes I feel all alone, like a badger in the dark, all alone. The melody of art have I shown to be worthy of my friends. I surely listen to them, try again, shot down another drink. Is that forcing me to think my education?
This podcast was recorded at Red Rum Skates. Mixed by me, Jer. Music provided by Breakacre. We appreciate all our listeners and our guests. Please stay tuned till the next one. Have a great one. Bye.